Well, hello everyone at St. John Vianney College Seminary, and greetings particularly to the students who are taking this Faith on Film class that Dr. Pablo Martinez is teaching this semester. My name is Dr. Anton Garcia Fernandez, and I am a professor of Spanish at the University of Tennessee at Martin, which is located in the northwest of the state of Tennessee. Dr. Pablo Martinez, your professor and also your academic dean, has been a very good friend of mine for many, many years, going back to our graduate student days together at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, and it is actually at his request that I am speaking to you today. And of course, it is my pleasure to introduce to you today Leo McCarey's Going My Way, a film that I first watched as a kid with my uncle, and that meant one of my first introductions to the art of singer, actor, and entrepreneur, Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby was one of the most important names in show business in the 20th century, a leading figure on records, on radio, on film, and later also on television. Today, I am the North American co-editor of Bing Magazine, a journal published by the International Club Crosby, recognized as the longest-running fan club in the world, and devoted to celebrating Bing Crosby's life and all facets of his work. Let me tell you just a little bit about the star of this film, Bing Crosby. He was born Harry Lillis Crosby in Tacoma, Washington, in 1903, and he got his now famous nickname already as a kid due to a comic strip that he greatly enjoyed reading, the Bingville Bugle. He showed an early interest in sports, but it would be music that would in time bring him worldwide acclaim. He began recording in the late 1920s, and his popularity skyrocketed in the 1930s due to the fact that his baritone voice was perfect for radio. A quick look at the thousands of records that he made throughout a career that lasted for half a decade until his passing in 1977 reveals that he sang all kinds of music: jazz, pop, show tunes, Hawaiian songs, country music. He was one of the very first pop singers to record country music, Latin-influenced tunes, well, all kinds of music. Two styles in particular, though, reflected his upbringing: Irish tunes, because his family had roots in Ireland, and Christmas songs, because he was raised Catholic and remained devoted to his faith throughout his life. Both of these, Irish music and also religious music in a way, are featured on the soundtrack to Going My Way. If any of you has ever heard of Bing Crosby before taking this class and watching Going My Way, chances are it is precisely because of his work as a performer of Christmas songs. In fact, Bing Crosby was the first major star to popularize this type of music in the 1930s, with his recordings of classics like Silent Night and Adeste Fidelis, O Come All Ye Faithful. I'm sure you know those songs. He inaugurated a genre that would soon evolve into a billion-dollar business. Who, as a popular singer, has not recorded at least one Christmas song in his or her career? Well, Bing Crosby was the very first, and he was a pioneer in that respect. In the years of World War II, Bing Crosby introduced what is undoubtedly the most popular Christmas song of all time, White Christmas, written by Irving Berlin, who was a Russian-born Jewish immigrant in the United States. Crosby's family, as I said before, was Catholic, and throughout his life, he remained a devout follower of his faith. He had a well-rounded Jesuit education, of which he was always very proud, and that accounts, among other things, for the vast vocabulary that he used, and for many of the values that made up the everyman persona that he gradually took on, starting in the years of his biggest popularity, the 1940s. Though Crosby never proselytized, he never hid the fact that he was Catholic in public, at a time when, of course, Catholics were a minority within the context of show business in America. He always remained closely associated with his alma mater, Gonzaga University in the state of Washington. And to this day, his presence on campus is noticeable. For example, at Gonzaga, there's a Bing Crosby house, and a statue commemorating him is to be found there as well. But in the mid-1940s, it was one thing to record secular and religious Christmas songs and do Christmas radio broadcasts yearly, and quite another to play a Catholic priest in a major motion picture. And yet, that's what happened when Bing Crosby was offered to play Father O'Malley in a production of Going My Way, directed by Leo McCarey. This was right at the tail end of World War II in 1944. And even though Crosby was perfect for the role, the powers that be at Paramount weren't sure that he would go over well. After all, well, he was a singing star, so they had their doubts as to whether moviegoers would accept him in the role of a Catholic priest. As it turned out, they had no reason to be fearful. Going My Way was a huge success, was very well received by both the public and the critics, and was awarded several Academy Awards the following year. One of them, by the way, went to none other than Bing Crosby for Best Actor. There are many reasons, I believe, why Going My Way is such an artistically successful film. First of all, this was one of director Leo McCarey's favorite projects in his entire career. The screenplay by Frank Butler and Frank Cavett was actually based on an original story by McCarey himself, and he actually does a wonderful job of directing the movie at a quick, brisk pace, showing how much he cares for both the story and the characters. Barry Fitzgerald, a great actor who plays the older Father Fitzgibbon, is the perfect co-star for Crosby, and the two of them do have an undeniable on-screen chemistry that makes the film even more attractive. And then, of course, there's the great soundtrack. The movie stars the biggest singer in the country at the time, Bing Crosby, so it has to have a musical component. The songs were mostly written by Johnny Burke and Jimmy Van Heusen, two of the best songwriters in American popular music at the time, who had already come up with many hits for Bing and for other performers, and they would continue to write great songs for years to come. Here they contribute classics such as The Day After Forever, the title song Going My Way, and particularly the Academy Award-winning Swinging on a Star. To underscore the fact that Father O'Malley was Irish, there's also an Irish lullaby, which was not written by Burke and Van Heusen, called Tura Lura Lura. That's an Irish lullaby, which remained one of Bing Crosby's most requested songs throughout the rest of his career. Despite its success, and the fact that it's now considered a classic film, not all were accolades at the time that the movie premiered. Crosby himself remembers this in his 1953 autobiography, Call Me Lucky, which he wrote with the help of Pete Martin. If we go to page 186 on this edition, you will see that Bing Crosby addresses Going My Way and says, "There were unexpected repercussions to that role, the role of Father O'Malley. Not everyone approved of the fashion in which the young priest was humanized. I'd gone to a Jesuit school, and I'd always found priests very human and not unlike the boys they taught. But in some South American and Latin countries, moviegoers objected to the priest I portrayed, wearing a sweatshirt and playing baseball. I got a sizable amount of critical mail from those countries, reproving me for my undignified conception of the role of a priest. So not everybody apparently was happy with Bing's work. But here is a nice twist. Bing Crosby keeps saying, however, His Holiness, Pope Pius XII, saw the picture several times and wrote a letter in which he described his enjoyment of the film and said he thought it good to have the priesthood so humanized. You can find this in Bing Crosby's own autobiography, Call Me Lucky. And, well, all I can say is it's difficult to imagine higher praise than that for this type of a role, isn't it? As a matter of fact, Going My Way was so popular that just 1 year later, in 1945, Paramount had Crosby reprise the role of Father O'Malley for The Bells of St. Mary's, also directed by Leo McCarey, but this time alongside co-star Ingrid Bergman. But that's a different story, and perhaps a film that Dr. Martinez will think of including the next time that he teaches this class. I definitely would. It's also a good companion film to Going My Way, even though it did not get the accolades that Going My Way did. Now, I want to finish by recommending some readings that you might find interesting if you want to write a final paper or a study about Going My Way. First of all, I've already mentioned this, Call Me Lucky, Bing Crosby's own story. His autobiography written in 1953. He talks about the movie. And then, at the turn of the 21st century, at Hofstra University, there was a conference about Bing Crosby's life and work. And this was a volume that came out of that conference, a book called Going My Way, Bing Crosby and American Culture. And this is a volume edited by Ruth Brigozzi and Walter Robichek. And there are a couple of interesting articles here that might be interesting to those of you studying Going My Way. One of them is by David E. White, and it's entitled Analogies of Ignorance in Going My Way. And then there's a longer one by Eric Michael Mazur called Going My Way, and that's a question, Going My Way, Crosby and Catholicism on the Road to America. This is also a very interesting book if you're interested in studying Bing Crosby's life and career from many different perspectives. But for the movie, Going My Way, there's a couple of articles in here that you might find interesting. And this book, it's a little bit battered, this copy that I have, because it's an older book by Robert Bookbinder called The Films of Bing Crosby. Of course, it's a book that studies Bing Crosby's filmography, and it devotes some pages to Going My Way. So if you're interested, that's some bibliography for you. It's all that I would like to present. I just hope that you get a chance to sit down, sit back, and relax and enjoy this great movie from 1944, an award-winning film by Leo McCarey, starring Barry Fitzgerald and Bing Crosby, Going My Way. Thank you for paying attention to my comments, and thank you, Dr. Pablo Martinez, for allowing me to talk to your class today. My name is Dr. Anton Garcia Fernandez from the University of Tennessee at Martin, and from the small town of Martin, Tennessee, I'm saying goodbye to everybody. Enjoy the film. Thanks, and so long, everybody.